The first episode of the newest Digimon anime, Ghost Game, just aired last night as of the time of this recording. There's a lot of hype going into the show because it's the first original characters in a new Digimon season after like what feels like almost 7 years, I want to say, of adventure pandering for nostalgia. Because we had Try, we had Kazuna, and then we had Reboot. So I'll save that for the end of this video because I do want to talk about this show independently of the reboot. Like this show can stand on its own, so I don't want to like mix all that right now. That'll be for a section at the end of the video. So the episode starts off with Clockmon, known as the Sewn Lip Man because of the design of his mouth. Starts off with like a girl wandering around and then eventually getting attacked by Clockmon and him stealing her time. So at first I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. It's just like depicted as like stream of data coming out of the human, and yeah, it kind of makes sense right away. Like, okay, stealing her time, he's aging her, and it's not to death per se, but the way it's depicted is pretty horrifying. Like, it's a little unsettling, you know. Going into Digimon, like coming just off a reboot, I was not expecting anything like that whatsoever. So to see that right away in the first, 2 minutes was shocking. So I was like, wow, this is already setting the tone for this new season. It's really different for Reboot. Again, I'll touch about all that at the end of this video. Because, for setting the scene and the atmosphere of this season right away, it does a great job of establishing tone right away. It's a lot more of a somber season of Digimon. It's a lot more horror focused. I don't know if that was just for this episode. They want to front load that to get people's attention. Maybe the rest of the series will go back to a really goofy atmosphere because like Tamers, which is like the really popular Digimon series, air quotes, aimed at older audience, would have a bunch of goofy episodes in between all the serious moments. So I don't know if Ghost Game is probably going to do that. We don't know for sure, but I feel like it's pretty safe to assume that. Or if it's going to keep this little horror atmosphere the entire series. Because this is just Clockmon. Clockmon's a jobber. No one really cares about this Digimon for the longest time. And he's depicted as this really awesome, scary threat, like taking people's lives and preying on their fears and of his urban legend, which he's become. So the next scene, we get to introduce the main characters. The main character himself, I believe his name is Hiro, off the top of my head right now. But he's introduced with his friend and talking about the incident that just happened at their school the other day and how it's getting national attention. We're introduced to what looks like to be the rival character, or at the very least, he's one of the three main characters that we see in the opening song and all that. But he seems to be like the snob that feels like he's above them, which he is a year or so older, at least going by the fact that he's like referred to as senpai and stuff. So I guess that's why his reason for feeling that way is. But yeah, we're depicted to him right off the bat. We meet them. And then after that, we get to see more of Hiro after the conversation. He walks home. And on the way there, you see the police car is at the scene of the crime. Which shows that, yeah, because at first Hiro didn't believe any of this. He's like skeptical of the whole Sewn Lip Man, which is what Clockmon is known as. Because they don't know what Digimon are yet. He's skeptical of it, and then he sees the police, and we get a flashback to how apparently Hiro seems to have lost his dad, which is another cool element because it gives him a little bit more of a backstory, a little bit more explaining of his character. It's a really well done flashback too, because we see him cut back to his room, and then like it is like frame cuts like in and out of his father being there working on something on the computer. So he's like really clearly obsessed with this, like we will find out later, the digital world or some project he was working on relating to it, and it seems to have like taken him from his son, whatever his experiment was, if it was successful or not. So I think it was a really cool juxtaposition right there to get that info of Hiro. But talking about the characters, the atmosphere in this show is really, really great. The setting is established right away, like this horror atmosphere, and I love that a lot. But the characters, at least this is episode 1, so I can't say too much, but at least from the first interactions we see with them, which is in the lunchroom talking about everything that went down in the first few episodes of the first few minutes of the episode, I really don't see we get too much personality from them. We get some cool backstory on Hiro, which could lead to some interesting facts about his personality, but at least for him and his friend right now in the show, and for the rival character, who I feel is like the one we got the most personality out of, there wasn't really anything too interesting about them. I'm hoping there's more to them later on, but right now the strength of the show is absolutely on its atmosphere, on its tones, and establishing that mood in the series. Like the lighting, the music, and the pacing, especially the depictions of the attacks, like everything is such a great light horror feeling, and it's such a good job of establishing that. But as far as the characters go and like their reactions to all of this, I don't really feel any kind of attachment to the characters right away. Like I said, the rival character, so I'm just going to refer to him because I don't remember his name off the top of my head immediately. The one with the gray silver hair. He is given the most personality in my opinion, just because he's reacting like that, like, oh, I'm above you, but also I'm kind of like this cowardly dude that is using my position to make me feel more important and therefore more valuable than I may really be, which is cute, I guess, for the typical shonen rival character. Hero's just kind of there, just kind of reacting to everything with not much of a personality, but maybe we'll get that later on. But anyways, after all that, Hiro and his friends are on the school grounds, and they're like looking around, seeing what's at the scene of the crime, because they go up to where it's like that police tape to not cross, where it's blocked off. So he goes there, and they kind of like get past that and go into the scene of the crime, which is a big mistake because they do end up seeing the Clockmon, and the Clockmon attacks Hiro's friend. Like it straight up attacks him and does what he does to the girl at the beginning of the scene. It steals his time and it just knocks him out. And it looks like it's gonna go for Hiro next. But the police or like the principals, some kind of authority figure in the school, come just in time, turn on the lights, and it scares off Clockmon to not expose himself. So that was again another really like unsettling scene, like really well done. But he starts digging throughout his room, and like there's like rumbling and noises, and that's where he starts to find the dims and the vital bracelets. And the cool thing is the vital bracelets are the ones that the Digivices in the season are the toys, like the vital bracelets that were released before the series was even announced. So that's pretty cool, that tie-in marketing that they're doing there. But it's really cool because he finds the dims, he puts them in after a couple of failed attempts, and that summons his Digimon, which is going to be Gamomon. And Gamomon is super cute. I love how they established Gamomon in this show. He is really adorable. He gives huge Guilmon vibes, and I had to Google after this episode. He is a virus type, which I think Guilmon is literally the only other protagonist virus Digimon we've ever had. So that's cool to see that parallel. And we do see a lot of like the virus type, I might be evil tendencies throughout this episode. But he's really just cute, depicted as this cute little brother for Hiro to raise. Like, after he discovers Gamomon, a hologram of his dad, a pre-recorded hologram, which comes out to explain everything to Hiro, which is pretty funny because they play with it. Because this is pre-recorded, so his dad, like, puts in pre-recordings in the hologram of where he goes, Hiro, stop interrupting me, I can't believe you interrupted me again. And Hiro doesn't even do anything, it's just quiet the whole time. He's like, Dad, I didn't even interrupt you that time. So that's like really cute, and it shows more personality for his dad than we're seeing from the other characters right now. I really like that goofiness of him. That was really cute, endearing, and funny, and I like that moment a lot. That shows off a lot of the dad's personality and the relationship he had with his son. I think that's really cute. But he basically gives like the incredible, most basic, lightest explanation of the digital world, that's where he is. Something about that wrapped him up with his studies, and that Gamomon is now his partner Digimon, and he's given it to Hiro. And he's saying to treat him like he was a little brother. And Gamomon is so cute. He's like, oh, little brother. He's like all totally into it. He's like, yeah, I love my brother. He's like totally into it. It's so cute. So he gets that explanation. Hiro's obviously still confused. The recording tells him to put the dim in again. The dim is the little chip that you put into your Digivices. What do you call them? The vital bracelets. And doing it again brings Gamomon into the real world. Like, he's no longer just a hologram like he was at first with his dad. And it's so cute because like he's like, oh, I'm real. So he tries to nibble on him, being like this little virus type Digimon that wants to eat all the time like Guilmon. So it's really adorable, like whole scenes of personality for the Digimon. He's later, like within seconds, interrupted by Clockmon. He attacks the home trying to go after Hiro, and he just busts open his window. It's like, oh man, how is Hiro going to explain that to his dorm? Like, dude, this thing just busted in my window. How do you explain that? Hiro's gonna have to pay for all that. But yeah, Clockmon is there, Gamomon is there, they go into a little fight, and it's the cutest little moment where Gamomon, like, he's threatened, he's busted this window open, he's gonna try to take Hiro's time life, and Gamomon's just like, you give bad vibes. It's like, it's so cute. He's like an Instagram influencer, it's just like, good vibes only here. Like, it's so cute. Like, Gamomon's this cute little, adorable, well-meaning, tough virus guy, and I just love it. It's so cute. They go into a fight, they like jump out the window, and like they chase each other around the town until they get to some park. Clockmon does that thing again where he bonks you on the head and he tries to steal your time. He's like, your time is mine. And he tries to steal it. And then we got this cool foreshadowing of Gamomon where it's like some like evil, you can take the implication that it's evil, shadowy version of Gamomon coming out from that stream. It's like shadowy. It's kind of like Megidramon or like Skull Greymon, I think is the implication. That he's like, because like what the thing is doing, we see seconds later, Hiro tries to help Gamomon by throwing a piece of, like a twig at the stream. And that twig, as it's going sucked up towards Clockmon, it rapidly ages into a giant log. So that's really cool. Like, man, I love that for establishing future details. Because like you could go back to the scene minutes ago of that shadowy figure coming out of Gamomon's stream, because that then tells us, that implies that this is stealing your future, showing you your future. Like if you see something coming from the stream, it's your future being sucked away from you towards Clockmon, which means like it's a ticking time bomb for Gamomon to become this evil Digimon, to get his own Megidramon, his own Skull Greymon, like previous season protagonists have, you know? So that's really cool foreshadowing, really cool like establishing of this like solemn warning of Gamomon's future. And I really like that establishing shot of that a lot. That the way that they get that across is super interesting. And it's really cool creative use of Hero to help. It's not like I like Marcus a lot if you watch season 5 of Digimon, but he's not out here like punching people. He has to be resourceful in how he helps his Digimon, because he's just a little kid, you know? So that twig and tossing it, knowing that it's sucking out your life, your time, so it'll rapidly age it, turn into a giant log that might crush Clockmon, forcing him to have to stop the attack, I think was really fun and creative writing for getting Hero involved in the Digimon battles. And after that, it becomes your basic Digimon stuff where he's like, oh, I am a partner, I'm your friend. Through our power together, I get a new attack, Break Claw, and he attacks Clockmon. Well, actually, the attack damages him a lot, and then like he spews out all the time in this cool visual covering the entire city and a bunch of zeros and ones data. And it shows like the people that were old as heck in the hospital being rejuvenated back to the original form. So Hero and Gamomon have saved those people whose time was stolen by Clockmon and got them back into their rightful positions. And that was like the first episode. That's where it ends. And like I said, I thought it was fantastic. Like that kind of writing to naturally foreshadow the evil moment that Gamomon might have, the threat that he might possess just by being this virus type Digimon. The way Hero is written in to support his Digimon in a clever way, and like something a kid would do, because he's not gonna probably go in there and start fist fighting Clockmon. He's not Marcus, you know. The setting was really great, because like even in the fight, like it's at night, it's in the park, it's shadowy. The only light is coming off of Clockmon's attack of stealing your time. It is so well. I've said this so many times throughout, but the mood, this light horror feeling of the anime is incredibly well established, and that is so amazing. I said my biggest weakness right now, which is totally fine because we got, what, 52 episodes minimum of this to come, is that the characters don't really feel established at all. They don't really feel like characters. They're kind of just like outlines right now, which is fine because they have time to establish that, but they make up for that by establishing the themes of the show, by establishing the atmosphere, and it is so strong and so well done that it hooked me. I'm like, yes, I want to see more of this. I can't wait to see all these Digimon that were once depicted as jobbers being like a serious threat for now, like Clockmon, and in the preview for the next episode, apparently Mummymon. So yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Now, as I was talking at the beginning of the video, how this relates to Reboot. So first off, Reboot, I was not looking forward to it as a fan in general, because I am a point in life in general where I am just done with nostalgia pandering. I do not care whatsoever about nostalgia pandering. I want new experiences, because at one point, the original characters in Digimon were a new experience. At one point, Gen 1 of Pokemon was a new experience. If we keep pandering to the nostalgia and keep retelling these old stories, remaking them, rebooting them, changing them slightly, we're going to miss out on the next Digimon. We're going to miss out on the next Pokemon, on these amazing new experiences that they once were. So I am sick of nostalgia pandering. I am sick of reboots. Please, I am sick of sequels. You know, stop giving me that. If the story has been told naturally, give me something new. If you're running out of ideas, take a couple years, months to go back to the drawing board and think of something new. It's fine. You know, I get this the way the capitalist product works. You got to keep pumping it out to return profits year on year, so you don't really have that luxury of waiting to think of something better. But, you know, I'll just go to something else then if you're only going to be giving me the same old, which is what Digimon was for the longest time. I wasn't really interested in Kizuna Tri after the first couple movies. So I really like right off the bat that this is something new, but more, more directly what I meant to say was Reboot. While I was kind of biased going into it, I was kind of biased. I still give it a shot. I watched 37 episodes and I just did not like it, because you have, like, I understand you're introducing it to a new market, but the main consumer of this reboot is going to be lapsed fans from years ago that you're trying to get back into the series to sell them this new stuff once that's done, right? Like, yeah, you're going to get some new kid audiences for sure, but like everyone knows the main person watching the reboot is going to be nostalgia fans. And I wish they wrote the show with that in mind, because the first few episodes of the reboot were rough, dude. They were rough. First episode was great. After that, it is boring, because you're doing what the original show did. You're establishing the kids episode per episode and getting their evolutions in, and it's like, you do not need to do that. I know who Joe is. These characters have not changed. If anything, in Reboot, they got less personality. So like, you do not need to show me an episode for Joe, an episode for Sora, an episode for Mimi. I know who all these characters are. You could have, instead of giving them each their own individual episode for Digivolving into their champions and their ultimates, you could have done 2 kids per episode, gotten that all out of the way, and have more time for the plot and the fights later on, which became much more interesting. And I don't know, it was just way too slow because of that. It was way too boring because of that. Because I know the beats, I know what they're gonna become. You know, there's nothing different about these characters personality wise. So it really dragged on. I think that really personally, I don't know how other people felt, but that really held Reboot back for me a lot. And because of that too, the establishment of the setting and of the mood, it was so sterile. It felt so sterile and corporate. Like, this is as safe as it can be. This is like the basic shonen Digimon anime, and this is what we're gonna stick to. And there was like no personality because of that. It was just a typical monster pairing shonen show, and I just didn't care for it. It was so, I don't want to say lifeless, you know, but it really felt empty. It really felt personalityless. While Ghost Game in one episode, like, really established such a great personality. Like, yes, we are not necessarily targeting an older audience, you know, like people claim Tamers did and stuff, and maybe they will later on in the series, but like, we are definitely like pushing the envelope just a little bit from what we have done to previous Digimon series. You know, we have a primary theme of like light horror, and we're going to enforce that, and that is so cool. There's personality to the Digimon, there is personality to the atmosphere. I hope soon we get personality to the characters, because that's the problem with Reboot. A lot of them were just cookie cutters and didn't really have anything. Like, there's like Izzy is just an exposition machine in Reboot compared to what he was in the original anime, with how much personality he had, trouble dealing with his parents' divorce and all that. Like, every kid had like moments like that, which wasn't in a Reboot. So yeah, I really like how right off the bat, Ghost Game establishes so much personality in its setting and in its Digimon, and I hope to see more of that in the characters. That is what really gets me excited for Ghost Game, and what makes me think it has a lot of potential to be the next big thing in terms of Digimon, at least, just because of how much it's like, we have a vision, we have an idea, and we're going to follow that, instead of Reboot, which is just, we're going to follow the shonen template, we're going to follow the template laid out by Adventure, and we're going to add in some new stuff at the end. It's kind of cool, but by then, who's still watching? Ghost Game is very promising. I loved the first episode. It was really exciting, and I can't wait to see more of it. We should definitely do watch parties here on the channel, like we just stream or something. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to do that. I don't know if I'll do this for every episode, but I think like Ghost Game being the first episode was a big deal, and how good it was, I was genuinely surprised that I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one, and remember to stay hungry until you get to watch the next episode of Ghost Game.